It is a beautiful morning at Churchill Downs, a little bit on the crisp side with temperatures nearing 40 degrees, but it's invigorating for the horses. And in just a few moments, we're going to see the contenders for the Kentucky Derby and the Oaks on the track. It is the morning workout show presented by Twin Spires, and the main track is rated as fast. As we take a look at the headlines, lots of stuff going on. Lots of the heavy lifting done this past weekend, including Track Phantom's work yesterday, and it was a strong breeze. We'll take a look in just a couple of moments. Derby points leader Sierra Leone settling in at Chad Brown's barn 25 after his arrival yesterday, hoping to see him on track this morning. Florida Derby romper Fierceness arrived early this morning, 4:30 to be exact, for trainer Todd Pletcher. And Oaks supplement possible Manama Gold is transferred to Todd Pletcher. That horse expected to arrive here today. Joe Krzyzewski and James Scully joining you for the Kentucky Derby Morning Work Show. And James, it's always great to have you. To say you get excited this time of year would be an understatement.
Yeah, it's a good morning, Joe. Excited to be back. I think Derby 150 is top heavy this year with real stars and Fierceness in Sierra Leone, but they've got a bunch of good horses right behind them and really got a competitive, compelling edition of the 150th edition of the Kentucky Oaks. So let's get to talking about the horses.
Let's do it, and let's start with Sierra Leone, who I mentioned did arrive yesterday, James, and there he is, and he certainly has a presence about him, to say the least.
Yeah, big, long horse and a powerful closer. We've seen him in the Risen Star and the Bluegrass this year. Real impressive off-the-pace wins from Sierra Leone.
He won those races despite slow starts. He delayed the start of the Bluegrass for several minutes, and he's settling into Churchill Downs, and we do expect to see him here today. Kentucky Derby points leaderboard, and we did have a change that we'll talk about in just a moment, but you see Sierra Leone, you see Fierceness, you see the winner of the Louisiana Derby, Catching Freedom, as your top three.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll get to talking about Track Phantom's work from yesterday here later. On page 2, you mentioned Grandmo the First is now in the field. He was 21st yesterday, got in with the defection of Deterministic.
And here are the three horses on the outside looking in, led by Common Defense, who needs one more defection to enter the starting gate for Kentucky Derby 150. Let's take a look at Track Phantom. The winner of the Gun Runner as a late 2-year-old, the winner of the LeCompte. Both of those races very forward. Then he was second in the Risen Star behind Sierra Leone. He was fourth in the Louisiana Derby behind Catching Freedom. And now he puts the blinkers on for the Kentucky Derby, and we're seeing maybe a little bit of a different strategy for trainer Steve Asmussen in this work.
Yeah, really trying to teach Track Phantom to relax a little bit. They slowed it down for this opening quarter mile in 26 and change, and really finished powerfully in the stretch. You mentioned Asmussen will add blinkers. Track Phantom has tons of natural speed. He just needs him to finish better in the latter stages, and perhaps the blinkers and this training will help him in that regard, Joe.
Carbone was the workmate. This horse was actually favored in the Southwest earlier this year, so no slouch is the sparring partner, and you're going to see them finish very quickly here, 34-3 for the final 3 furlongs. A little bit of urging here for Track Phantom, which is where the real running begins in the Kentucky Derby, at the quarter pole. Wants his horse to finish up better. He certainly does in this workout. A final clocking of 1 minute and 4/5 for 5 furlongs. Track Phantom putting the blinkers on for the first time in the Kentucky Derby. Steve Asmussen looking for his first Kentucky Derby win. And Track Phantom, again, should be forwardly placed, but maybe trying a little bit of a new running style, showing a little bit more finishing punch down the lane. From Track Phantom to Fierceness, we mentioned that Sierra Leone arrived yesterday. Fierceness, the expected co-favorite for Kentucky Derby 150, did arrive earlier this morning. He's been a Jekyll and Hyde. We've seen 3 dominant wins, James. We've seen 2 clunkers. This was a dominant workout.
Dominant workout. He just totally embarrasses his workmate. And, Fierceness, he's run 2 brilliant races, 2 of the fastest races for his crop. And it's just a matter of, can he get out of the gate, get into the cruising rhythm, and get the right trip, Joe?
Now, this work was a couple of days ago at Palm Meadows, and a gate road has got some class to him, but a gate road is a more deeper out the back closer who was overmatched in this work as Fierceness just glides over the surface here in Florida. Again, Fierceness arriving earlier this morning at 4:30. I don't think we're going to see him on the racetrack today, but definitely we'll see him on the racetrack here tomorrow. Kentucky Oaks leaderboard is coming up next, and James, a little bit of a difference between the Derby and the Oaks. 20 for the Kentucky Derby, 14 for the Run for the Lilies.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good race. It's hard to really determine who'll be the favorite. I think maybe Leslie's Rose off that Ashland win, but a real strong list here, Joe.
Yeah, Torpedo Anna looked really good in her workout this past weekend for Ken McPeak, the recent winner of the Fantasy. Let's turn to the second page, and we did not have a defection as of yet in this field, but our Pretty Woman could get knocked out if Manama Gold decides to go into the field, transfer to Top Pletcher. She has the same amount of points as our Pretty Woman, but would win the 14th slot based on tiebreakers. We'll monitor that story in the next couple of days here.
And I think Candy would be a contender, but like
yes,
you
sir.
said, we'll have to see if she can get in. Yeah, and Pell too.
There's a chance that we could see Just FYI work this morning, according to Kevin Kirstein. Also, Resilience could work this morning for the Derby, but that would be a little bit later on here today. All right, some great promos courtesy of Twin Spires. Let's talk about the money back promo from the first race on opening night, Saturday, April 27th. Through the last race on Kentucky Derby Day, Saturday, May the 4th, Twin Spires is offering insurance on your win bets on all eligible wagers and races under the Twin Spires in form of that $10 money back offer. So make sure you opt in. It's basically some insurance on your win bets. Opt in at twinspires.com or the trusty Twin Spires app and participate in the Derby Week money back offer. Also, on Thursdays, we're going to have a special leaderboard contest. For every race on Churchill Downs on Thurby, make at least one $10 win wager on a single horse and earn points if that horse runs first, second, or third. You can climb the leaderboard for your share of $2,500. The contest is free to enter. All you have to do is head to twinspires.com or the Twin Spires app and opt in to the Thursday leaderboard contest. There's Just FYI, who just worked the middle of last week, interestingly enough, James. Just getting news in from Kevin Kirstein, who just absolutely does a tremendous job. I vote him MVP every year for the information
Absolutely.
He gives us. And he just texted me moments ago. Just FYI is supposed to breeze here during the designated workout period. I believe she's going to go 5/8 of a mile with Junior Alvarado aboard for Bill Mott. And then Resilience for the Kentucky Derby slated to work at 9 a.m. So we won't have that live on the show.
Right.
We'll get that recorded for you. Hopefully we'll be able to show that tomorrow here on the Kentucky Derby Morning Work Show presented by Twin Spires. But just FYI, she won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. She ran a big race in her return, I thought. I think she's going to take another step forward in the Kentucky Oaks for trainer Bill Mott. She had to scratch earlier this year when she came down a little bit sick in Florida. The seasonal debut was delayed, but she's got the credentials to get it done.
She absolutely does. And when she worked with her workmate last Thursday, she was a little bit rank in the early go and feeling good, wanting to do more. So be interested to see if she does a little bit faster drill this morning for Bill Mott.
Okay, so we're going to see this work for Just FYI as she gets prepared for that move. But let's transfer over in the meantime to Dornoch. This is Mage's full brother, the winner of last year's Kentucky Derby. He won the Remsen as a 2-year-old, James. He won his 3-year-old debut as well. Not quite as good in the bluegrass when they tried to change tactics a little bit and rate him from off the pace. But trainer Danny Gargan said, we're going to scrap that plan. We're going to be forward in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an experiment. He didn't like it. He was tossing his head. Only horse to beat Sierra Leone. Beat him by a nose in the Remsen last December. We know he has talent. He's just got to keep moving forward off of these two efforts this year. Been a little bit disappointing in a sense.
Yeah, the Remsen, that was a speed favoring racetrack at Aqueduct that day, but it was a very fast pace. Mm-hmm. It looked like Sierra Leone was going to run by. He did, and then Dornoch came back on him. Sierra Leone, since that time, has added blinkers, and I think it may have made a difference.
Absolutely, and he's a good-looking horse in the flesh. Would like to see a fast work leading leading up to the Derby from Dornoch.
Again, we are expecting to see Sierra Leone on the racetrack this morning. He arrived yesterday. He will be one of the co-favorites in Kentucky Derby 150 along with Fierceness, who did arrive on track early this morning. Don't expect to see him. Most likely Fierceness will make his first appearance at Churchill Downs tomorrow morning. Again, news coming in, just FYI is scheduled to work here this morning during the designated training period, and Resilience is scheduled to work for Kentucky Derby 150 a little bit later on this morning, most likely around 9 o'clock. There's just FYI, and it's interesting. We talked about this horse just worked a handful of days ago, James, so it's interesting that Bill Mott is not only working her, but also working Resilience at this point in time. They'll get another workout next week, you would guess, leading up to the Oaks and the Derby, respectively. This caught us off guard a little bit, admittedly, but this is a filly that's got a lot of class. She didn't have the greatest of trips last time out in the Ashland, which I think, if you look top to bottom, was one of the stronger Oaks preps we've had this season.
Yeah, undoubtedly the Ashland was one of the toughest preps, and you're right, she went about 5 wide off the turn. That wasn't the place to be at Keeneland that day. Definitely a candidate to move forward. I think she can race closer than she did in that race as well. I expect her to move forward in the second start back. Malathat won the Kentucky Oaks in her second start of the year, and that's what Just FYI is trying to do.
Also after a win in the Ashland.
Right, yes.
There you see Just FYI. Junior Alvarado, I believe, is the rider. He would obviously be the rider in the Kentucky Oaks after riding the horse in the first 4 starts. And we'll stay on Just FYI here. Again, we expect her to breeze 5 furlongs. We've got a plethora of Derby horses on the racetrack as well. Oaks horses too. James, the Derby horses, a lot of them, you know, had, oh, here we go. Okay, we're going to break off here. For Just FYI, she's going to work solo, and you can tell she's definitely eager. They're trying to keep her, you know, under control early in this work, get her to relax and finish strong.
Yeah, and I think she's definitely a little bit eager, but not as bad as she was last Thursday. Much more relaxed early, and yeah, I mean, you can see she's a pretty mover going around the turn. She corners well and got a lot of class to her. Like you said, Joe, she was 3 for 3 as a juvenile and just has a runner-up finish off that layoff. So a lot of talent with this Justify filly.
Leslie's Rose, the winner of the Ashland, got that inside pocket trip over a racetrack that, you know, favored inside, favored horses that were forward. You mentioned the wide trip for Just FYI, who did finish well. You talked a little bit about the potential pace in the Kentucky Oaks not being necessarily overly strong. Could hurt a horse like Just FYI to a certain extent, but she was up close in her races as a juvenile. She's got enough speed to put herself in a stalking position. We'll get these fractional times from Kevin Kirstein as they become available.
I do think she has that versatility to race close if it's slow or mid-pack if it's fast.
Yeah, she remains in hand here, just doing everything nicely, very relaxed. And again, it'll be interesting, and I'm sure the reporters will talk to Bill Mott about his strategy of working her so closely to her last work. You know, you would think the timing would be Friday, race on Friday. This is a little bit unconventional, but very strong in the gallop out here.
They're asking for a lot more from her today than they did last week. That was a really easy maintenance move last week. Obviously, they're tightening her up with more rigorous exercise today.
Yeah, and then she'll just have a very, very easy maintenance breeze
move again,
next week in advance of the Kentucky Oaks on Friday. Maybe you would guess this weekend, probably Sunday. I would guess,
Sunday or Monday at the latest, but Sunday probably a good option.
No, it'll be interesting to see what Bill Mott has to say. I'm sure he's pleased with this move. Again, we'll give you the times as they become available. See if we can find some other Derby and Oaks horses on the track as this work has been completed for Just FYI. Got a nice move from her. We'll give you those fractional times as they become available. And who do we have here, James?
Is that going to be Dornoch?
This is Encino for Brad Cox. Again,
Encino,
this is another horse that is certainly going to go forward. You've got Just a Touch, right? You would think that he's going to go forward. but you've got Catching Freedom as well. All right, we're going to switch gears here because we've been waiting to see this. Here's Sierra Leone, and high energy here this morning for sure.
He is. He's feeling his oats a little bit. Jockey keeping him under a tight hold, wanting to move his head a little bit, but you can just see, I mean, from his stride is extremely long. He's a long, big butt horse, and Chad Brown just calls him a natural athlete, Sierra Leone.
The sales topper at the Fasig-Tipton summer yearling sale, $2.3 million. If you want to know what $2.3 million worth of racehorse looks like, there it is on your screen right now. And you know what, James, in regards to this horse as well, sometimes you pay a lot of money for a horse and they're just really not that good.
Right.
This horse has lived up to the sales price.
He was beautiful when he was young, and he's continued to advance and grow into his frame, and extremely fast. Not the prettiest stride when you look at him at the head on, but when you watch him on a pan angle like this, just a tremendous mover and beautiful racehorse.
Your thoughts about him delaying the start of the Bluegrass by 3 minutes? Hadn't shown that in previous starts.
Yeah.
The crowd had something to do with it, but if you think there was a crowd at Keeneland on Bluegrass Day, just wait till the first Saturday in May.
It's extremely disconcerting. I mean, Chad Brown's really saying it's no big deal, and he's going to give him some extra gate schooling here at Churchill Downs. But, if he pauses at the gate, that will be a huge concern for everybody that's betting on Sierra Leone.
And a huge concern for everybody else in the field that has to stand in that starting gate with the crowd cheering, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see how that plays out. But again, a good look at Sierra Leone. He arrived yesterday, his first venture onto the Churchill Downs main track. Chad Brown is yet to win a Kentucky Derby. Followed the same path with Sierra Leone that he followed with Zandon.
Right.
The Remsen to the Risen Star to the Bluegrass. Zandon ran a big race in the Kentucky Derby to be third.
I thought he got everything out of Zandon he could to be third. And and Sierra Leone.
Different horse.
Right. Following the same path. He'll have no trouble with the distance, it looks like. And if he continues to move forward off the Bluegrass, you figure he'll be right there at the wire.
Sierra Leone still, just showing a ton of energy here on the racetrack. It certainly has made a very positive impression.
Continues to be under a big hole. Got a lot of horse left, the exercise rider does. Just a physical specimen.
And he's just galloping here. Look at how much ground he just eats up effortlessly. And that's what he does in his races, too. Yeah. When you watch Tyler Gaffalione, he knows what he has underneath him. Like, he can wait to push that button because he knows his horse is going to finish.
He said he was 75% in the Bluegrass, so that is if it's a matter of getting that extra 25%. But if he does, then he's going to be he's going to run. He's poised to run a big race.
Sierra Leone by Gun Runner, who was third in the Derby during his 3-year-old year. Only got better with age, but has certainly turned out to be one of the top stallions currently going in the game. Sierra Leone for Chad Brown will be ridden in the Kentucky Derby by Tyler Gaffalione, who's won more than his share of races here under the Twin Spires.
Yeah, really a big pickup, too, for Tyler Gaffalione. Chad Brown, based in New York most of the year. You expect to see Ortiz, other jockeys on him. So Tyler Gaffalione, 11-time leading rider at Churchill. All
right, lots of horses on the track, including Honor Marie, who, in addition to Sierra Leone, did run in the Risen Star. That was his 3-year-old debut for Whit Beckman, and we see him here moments ago on the racetrack, but ran a lot better in the Louisiana Derby. James to be second behind Catching Freedom. Whit Beckman has said all along that this is a horse that he has absolutely no thoughts about not getting the 1.25 miles.
Yeah.
And he's a finisher, right? And he's heading in the right direction. He looks good this morning.
Yeah, I like seeing this. He's got a lot of energy. The rider also has him under a tight hold, stretching his legs. Didn't get going till too late in the Risen Star's first race back. Took a huge step forward in the Louisiana Derby, like he said.
Anna Marie did win the debut at Churchill going 6 furlongs and then was second in a subsequent allowance going 7. Won the Kentucky Jockey Club at odds of almost 9-1. Thank you very much. Then was 5th in the Risen Star. And he did finish deceivingly well in the Risen Star. kind of figured he was going to improve significantly off of that race into the Louisiana Derby. And a great story with the jockey, Ben Curtis, coming over from England, where he was an accomplished rider, riding the entire meet at Fairgrounds, doing very well there. And now all of a sudden, he's got a mount in the Kentucky Derby. Don't know what the odds of that would have been going into a season at the Fairgrounds. But
yeah, Ben Curtis won over 3,500 races internationally. He's in his 30s. He's not a young kid. Honor Marie is going to be out the back with Curtis. He's been last or next to last in every start so far.
Forever Young did not come out onto the racetrack yesterday, but he is today. So let's take a look at him moments ago. This is the undefeated Japanese representative along with T.O. Password. And there you see Forever Young on the outside here, showing some good energy in the gallop. He kind of had a speed gallop the other morning. It wasn't a published workout, but he did go a lot quicker than you would normally see in a gallop. He's got good energy, like I mentioned here. This horse cost $720,000 as a Japan Select yearling, and again, won the UAE Derby last out, was wide on a racetrack that favored speed, defeated an older horse that day. And of all the horses that Japan has brought in here, or all the horses that have come out of the UAE Derby, he's got to rank right up there.
He's a top-rated dirt 2-year-old ever in Japan, got the highest rating for his races there. And his trainer is won major races all around the world. He won 2 Breeders' Cup races at Del Mar in 21. He's won in Australia, Hong Kong, Dubai. He knows how to get horses to peak outside of Japan. And I like Forever Young's the way he holds his head. He's got like a classy, like high head carriage, like he knows he's the goods.
So the dam, Forever Darling, and the dam of
Sierra
Leone are sisters.
Right.
So what does that make these horses?
First cousins in
First
my
cousins.
book.
How wild is that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and they're both the breeder of Sierra Leone is Debbie Oxley, and she owns Debbie My Darling, who is the second maternal dam for both Sierra Leone and Forever Young.
And of course, the Oxleys winning the Kentucky Derby in 2001 with Monarchos.
Correct.
We've got Mystic Dan moments ago for Ken McPeek. And I got to admit, James, early in this horse's career, I thought this horse was a sprinter. Normally, Ken McPeek, when he's got horses that he thinks are 2-turn horses, he doesn't wait several starts to stretch them out. This horse ran around 1 turn in his first 3 starts, ran in the Smarty Jones at Oaklawn, ran okay that day to finish 5th, scored a huge upset in the Southwest, and then ran a better than it looks 3rd in the Arkansas Derby. Your thoughts on Mystic Dan?
I think the switch to stalking tactics. He was sort of more of an up-close presser type in his first 4 starts. When they switched him to a mid-pack stalker, his form went forward big time in the Southwest. Even that Arkansas Derby, even though he was a non-threatening 3rd, that was a solid effort to build upon. A little question about the 1.25 mile distance, but I like his progression so far for Kenny McPeek.
All right, we do have the workout times for just FYI. We'll run through those fractions for you quickly here. 12-1, 24-1, 36 flat. The final time officially will be 59 4/5 for 5 furlongs. Galloping out, James, we said this very strongly. 112-1, 125 2 for 7 furlongs, and 140-1 for a mile. So that was a strong.
Yeah, that's impressive to get that mile. That's 3 extra quarters they clocked him on the gallop out.
Yes.
Or her, excuse me.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for the designated training period here at Churchill Downs this morning. Let's take a look at some great promotions, courtesy of Twin Spires. Again, that money back promo, James. You know, I talked about this earlier. This is basically insurance on your win bet, up to $10 back if your horse runs 2nd or 3rd in those eligible races.
Yeah, don't gimmick away your top pick. Make sure you bet at least $10 on him. Opt in at Twin Spires. 8-horse field. If he runs 3rd, we'll give it back to you. 8 or more horses. 5 to 7 horses. If they run 2nd, you get it. So great promotion all week, every race, Tuesday through Saturday at Churchill Downs on Derby Week.
And again, this promotion does start opening night, April 27th, through the last race on Derby Day, Saturday, May the 4th. Another great promotion coming up on Thursday. The first one will be Thurby. It is the $2,500 leaderboard contest. I love these contests, James. You're playing the races anyway. It's $10 win bets. You cash those win bets, you get that money in your account, plus you can work your way up the leaderboard and get your share of $2,500. It's absolutely free to play.
Yeah, free 20. We're going to be Twin Spires giving away $2,500 every Thursday. You're going to get points, like you said. You bet a horse to win it, run second or third, you're still getting points, and pays. We've got a lot of winners each week, so make sure you check out that and make sure you opt in. These are great promotions for opening week at Churchill Downs.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for the Kentucky Derby Morning Work Show for this morning. Final thoughts from what we saw. Every horse we saw showed really good energy, but that workout from Just FYI I thought was scintillating.
Dynamite. I thought it was dynamite. I thought she was a major contender off their runner-up effort last time, and now she's moving up in my mind off that work.
All right, the Kentucky Derby Morning Work Show rolls on tomorrow. James, we'll see you in a few days. Enjoy your Kentucky Derby season. I know you got lots to keep you busy.
I do, but we'll be picking some winners next week once the racing gets going.
All right, that's going to wrap it up. Looking forward to James and a plethora of other hosts here on the Kentucky Derby Morning Work Show as we roll forward all the way through Thurby on this program. We'll be back tomorrow at 7:25. Enjoy your Monday morning, everybody.